For today, I will start off with our Visual Studio plugin. So looking at the Visual Studio toolset, within my instance, I have the plugins already installed, either the plugins for our on-premise or on-demand platform, or even the Security Assistant tool that provides that real-time feedback. Now, to save time, I went ahead and ran a couple of scans on the Security Assistant side and even on the security scan itself, and I'll just go ahead and highlight all this within the tool. So with the Security Assistant tool, for that real-time feature to kick in, you would need to analyze the solution first. Once that solution is analyzed, it's going to pull up existing issues that it found. And as you code, if you do introduce issues, it's going to highlight it within the code base. And all issues that it finds are highlighted within your IntelliSense errors. And we do add the Fortify tags to the description and also the color codes that represents the criticality, either high-level issues, low-level issues, and whatnot. Now, when we take a look at a couple of these, all I need to do is double click on it and it will take me to that line of code where the issue lies. Now, let's right click in and look at some more details. Right here, you would see it's referencing an ASP.NET misconfiguration for an excessive timeout. And we'll go ahead and provide a detailed summary on why this issue was flagged as one. Now, if I go ahead and scroll down, you would see that we also do provide recommendations on possible ways to fix this issue, and we do have a couple of examples. So one recommendation here is taking down this issue to 15 minutes or less, and when we look at the timeout here, it's currently set to 30. So I'll go ahead and go back into my error list so we can take a look at this issue here. And as you can see, let's use the example and say I take this down to 10 minutes. This is an issue that doesn't exist again within our code base. Now, if I am coding in real time and let's say I go ahead and increase this to 60, you would see that issue pop up as a potential vulnerability within our code base. So again, just giving you a quick view into the capability of the Security Assistant tool and what your developers and team members can look forward to when utilizing it within the IDE. Now, this is in no way a replacement to the actual static testing tool. We do recommend that you run that full comprehensive scan. And let's go ahead and walk through the second use case and say we're running that comprehensive scan and we're doing it locally on our IDE. So this is that developer or that team member being proactive, or maybe we just want to run an ad hoc scan real quick on our workstation. Using the plugin, I would have the ability to analyze the full solution, or if it's a solution with a ton of projects, I can go down as far as selecting the project I want and analyzing that project itself. Now, once that scan is done and complete, the toolset would open results locally within the web UI platform for you and provide details to each one of those issues. And this is just a quick sample of a completed scan, and it's highlighted some issues within the IDE. Now, let's go ahead and use the other scenario and say we have this fully integrated within our CI tool, and the CI tool of choice today would be Azure DevOps. And if I go ahead and bring my sample up of Azure DevOps, I have an application that's being built, the popular webgo.net version, and I have all processes or all steps required to build that application successfully. Now, once that build is done, I've gone in and I've added an additional step to run a security scan. So as you can see, it's not a daunting process, including this within your current processes. We're adding a step, we're specifying a license file, specifying a solution, and we're letting Fortify conduct the 3 steps, which is the clean, the translate, and the scan. Now, once that scan is done successfully, I now want it to push results into Software Security Center, which is that web UI platform that I spoke about that now gives visibility into the results. Now, one of the beautiful things with integrations with Azure DevOps is not only do you have the option to utilize the plugin with our on-premise toolset, you also have the ability to utilize this for dynamic testing. As you can see, you can initiate a dynamic scan using the plugin, and also with our on-demand platform, we give you the ability to initiate a static and also a dynamic scan directly within your CI. Okay, so we've taken a look at both examples, kicking it off from an IDE or having this integrated to a CI tool, kicking off a scan. Now, let's look at the other side and say our scans were done successfully. Now it's time to take a look at the results. And we have a couple of options. We can take a look at the results directly from our IDE. We can take a look at the results through Software Security Center, which is that web UI platform, or we can even connect to Software Security Center from our IDE and pull down the results locally. So let's go ahead and go back to our IDEs now. Now, within the Visual Studio plugin, I'll have the option to connect to SSC. Now, if I do that, I will authenticate using the same credentials that I have. And let's just go ahead and validate myself in. I am coming in as an admin. And what this does, it gives me access to all applications within the instance of Software Security Center. Now, if I'm a restricted user, I would only view those applications restricted to me, and I can select whichever application I need, click on OK, and it opens it up within the IDE. So the huge advantage here is everyone is working on the same file, so whatever changes developer A makes, it's visible to developer D, E, and F. And no one's working on duplicated efforts. Now let's go ahead and take a look at the result sets. Now, from the scan, by default, the tool is set to a quick view. And what the quick view does is it shows me issues that are most critical that would need to be addressed first. So it suppresses all my low-level issues, medium, and some of my high. Now, if I want to go ahead and take a look at every single one, and as you can see, we have all issues bumped up to 667, and this is a total of everything. We're currently in our critical folder, and there are 99 critical issues that were found that range anywhere from cross-site scripting going down to pad injections. Now, earlier within our presentation, I spoke about the comprehensive scan the Fortify toolset runs. Now, when we look at the other ability to group the issues, this comes into play, because since you've run that comprehensive scan now, you can dice and splice the data however you want. So as an example, if I want to view issues based off of the OWASP top 10 requirements, I can have it grouped by that, and the toolset automatically does that. No customization is needed on your end. Same, we have a PCI audit coming up. We'll go ahead and map to that. And if our concern is based off of the 6.5.1 requirements, I can start my remediation efforts based off of that. And I know no security vulnerabilities were found to that requirement, hence we're compliant. And some other categories or attributes are also available, and we give you the ability to create your own custom groupings within the toolset. Now let's go back to the category view, and we'll take a look at the issues themselves. Now let's go ahead and expand any one of these. Now, as you can see, we found 57 cross-site scripts and persistent issues, and of the 57 issues, the one here represents the issue that has been reviewed by a team member, and maybe we've added notes or we've added tags to them. And as we work on our review, maybe we have that security champion or that dev champion that takes a look at it, suppresses issues, assigns them to team members or whatnot. We would have those tags and the numbers go up. Now, when we take a look at the issues directly, for every single issue that we identify within the toolset, we would give you a full analysis trace, more of a flow of how the issue moved through your application. And this is fully interactive. So as you click a new step, it is going to take you to that line of code within your code base, and you can basically walk through the steps to execute the same issue. In addition to the analysis flow, we provide a visual representation of this, fully interactive also. And as we click on each one, it takes us from our entry point, our source, going down to the sink, which will be in red on line 37 within this file. Within the tool set, again, for every issue would be a detailed summary going down to the exact line of code detail on why the issue was flagged as one. And as you can see, every single issue within the tool set will have a unique instance ID attached to it. And this is very helpful when it comes to remediation. So let's say based off of the security controls you have within your environment, this is a non-issue and we want to go ahead and flag it as one. We can actually do that within the tool set here. So let's say I right click, I can suppress the issue, or I can generate a filter that doesn't just suppress this, but does it to a bunch of similar issues within the tool. So when I run future scans and I upload my results in, it does remember this same issue based off of that instance ID and applies previous suppression to it. Now, going back into the details that we provide for you. In addition to this, we would provide you with recommendations, which is usually the most important. Tips and tricks on how to fix the issue. We'll provide recommendations, or we'll provide some examples, and we'll also provide links to a bunch of organizations and consortiums for best practice. So potentially all the info that's needed to fix this issue is provided for you within the recommendations tab. There wouldn't be any need for team members to either Google fixes and all the detail would be available here within the tabs. Okay, so we've taken a look at one issue. I've also highlighted real quick how you can go in and either suppress an issue or even generate a filter. One thing I would like to touch on is the categories we have here are not in any way static. We do give you the ability to go in and create your own custom groups that would be more in line with what's relevant to your organization. So if I wanted to create an additional folder here that represented a must fix issue, then I can do that and also have issues moved into that. So a quick sample here, I have an additional filter set called new org. And within new org, you would see I created 2 additional ones flagged as false positives and must fix. And as I walk through the review, as you can see, I'm pushing issues either to a must fix category or I'm pushing it to a false positive category, just to show the functionality there. Now, again, if we look at issues identified here, when we go into the summary tab, if this is fully linked into my SSC instance, I would be able to assign it to a team member, or I can add additional analysis tag. So maybe upon review, I think this is an exploit. I can add my notes in, and once that's done, I can save that, and I can have the option of filing it as a bug. So this would link up to either my Azure DevOps defects, my JIRA instance, or any other defect tracking system tools that y'all use. Or if I feel it's a non-issue, I can go ahead and suppress it within the tool set and just have it hidden on the back end as a non-issue. So we've taken a look at reviewing the issues directly within the IDE. And this same functionality can be made available within an Eclipse IDE, or it can even be seen within the Audit Workbench toolset. The view is slightly different, but you would see that the functionality is the same across the board, and the same level of detail that I showed within Visual Studio is also available within Audit Workbench, just in case your IDE isn't supported. Now, let's go ahead and take a look at Software Security Center. Now, within Software Security Center, this comes in readily available within that CI integration. Even if you run an ad hoc scan on your local machine, just like I showed within Visual Studio, we still give you the option to upload your audit projects into Software Security Center for that collaborative audit functionality. Now, with Software Security Center, access You do have role-based access, and you can actually restrict users to certain applications. So again, I'm coming into the tool set as an admin, so I have full access into the tool. So real quick on a high level, we're taking a look at our dashboard. And as you can see, I have 14 applications where I've uploaded results in. Now, I know our focus today is on our static results, but with the Software Security Center tool, we give you the ability to also upload in your dynamic result sets. So now we're not just looking at the code base where the line of issue arises. Since it's a dynamic scan, we will provide details where we're looking at HTTP request responses. You might be wanting to see like header or parameter data, but we would still include the details and recommendations on how to fix the issue. So this brings me to another advantage of the Fortify toolset. Now, if you do conduct both scans, the static, the dynamic piece with our IaaS tool incorporated with this, and you upload results into the toolset, you're able to come in and apply a filter. And right here, I'm using a correlation group. So now I'm able to tie all this together. So if we use our correlation group 6, we can see a SQL injection that was found at this line when we ran our static scan with the agent that's on our app server. We also did find the same issue and verified that it was a true critical exploit when we initiated the dynamic scan with the tool. So being able to resolve this early on fixes our dynamic issues within the tool. Okay, so let's go ahead and go back into our dashboard view. And from the dashboard view real quick, we're taking a look at the 14 different application versions we have, and we can see quick summaries in terms of lines of code, issues identified or issues that are still open versus those that are pending within the tool set. And since we used our Azure DevOps instance to look at that CI integration, I would like to use that same application version, which is the VSTS.NET 1.0. Now, logging into this real quick, you would see it will highlight the total number of issues found here. And if I expand on any one of these, you would see the same level of detail that is made available. An analysis trace giving you the ability to move through, details on why the issue was flagged as one, and also recommendations on how to fix. Now, since this is a web UI platform, you would be able to assign issues to a team member or even to yourself. And within assignment of the issue, you can add an analysis tag. So again, being able to flag it as an exploit or a non-issue, being able to add your comments in, and let's just see how many users I have. So I have 4 different users, and I can assign this issue to Phil, and we can see that Phil already has 3 issues that have been assigned to him. Once I click and apply and Phil logs in, he's able to see issues assigned to him and he can start his remediation efforts. Now, since this is more of a database, you would have the option to group assign a ton of issues. So if I select a couple right here, same functionality exists in terms of assigning, suppressing, or even filing as a bug with a defect tracking system. And as you can see, I've already filed a couple of issues to our defect tracker. And one thing we try to do is we maintain bug state management within that defect tracking system. So whenever changes are made in like your JIRA instance are updated within the Software Security Center. So real quick, let's take a look at that because I have an instance where I have pushed a couple of issues into. Let me just look for that new JIRA flow. And I used the WebGo.NET sample. Let's go into that project real quick. And as you can see, we do have a couple of issues here highlighted. So this is one of those issues that we pushed in. We do provide details so you can see the line of code where the issue was executed, and we'll provide like that detailed summary and recommendation. but we still provide a hyperlink into Software Security Center. So as long as that person is a valid user, they can click on this link, authenticate, and get additional details into the issue that's highlighted. And it's a good way for you to have this fully integrated into your workflow practices. Maybe you want to tie remediation to a specific release. You can potentially do that within the JIRA instance there. Okay. So going back into Software Security Center, we have taken a look at the view that's available within the toolset. We have taken a look at how to assign issues to team members, or even the ability to suppress an issue within the toolset, either as a group or on an individual basis. And we've finally seen the ability of pushing issues as bugs into a defect tracking system, and I showed that for JIRA. So before I move ahead into one of the pieces, one thing I'd like to touch on real quick would be an added feature that's available within Software Security Center, and this is called Audit Assistant. And what the Audit Assistant functionality does is to assist our clients or our users in being able to determine what parts of the issues that are being identified are in fact true exploits or non-issues. So providing aid on areas to start when it comes to remediation. Now, I have applied the Audit Assistant scan to my result set. And if I apply a prediction filter, you can see the total of 641 issues that were identified. It's helped me break them down into what a toolset considers exploits versus non-issues. And it's able to do this based off of the close to a decade of scans that have been done and audited by our Fortify on Demand team. So it looks at the anonymized data, and based off of the history, it uses analytics to determine if your issues are exploits or not. So when we take a look at what's been applied here, we can see 13 have been flagged as exploits, and 57 have been flagged as non-issues. Now, when we take a look at the indeterminates, we set a threshold within our tenant that says those that it's 80% certain are either exploits or non-issues, go ahead and show them within this folder here. So right here we have an additional 156 suspicious issues that are potential exploits, and we have 320 issues that are potential non-issues. So taking a look at this real quick, if we're thinking of how to start our remediation because the tool set found a ton of issues, at least we know we can easily address our exploits and our indeterminates over anything else. Now, since this is a machine learning tool, we give you the ability to train this tool set. So as you work on your remediation efforts, and as you work on suppressing or flagging issues, you can add that training data into your own instance. And as you acquire a ton of data, you can reapply the analytics into newer result sets and get a much accurate data than what was given to you from the community side. Okay. So real quick, just wanting to highlight one of the last functionality because a ton of our clients want to generate reports. Either they have an audit coming up, it's one they can present to the auditor, or they have customers that request more of a report to validate that they've run security scans, or any other use cases in general. Within Software Security Center, since this is more of, let me log into this real quick. Since this is more of a database, you do have access to a ton of reports. I would say for starters, when we go into the IDE, there are certain reports that we do provide for you. And these are categorized more as issue reports. So if I want to get a summary of the whole scan, I can download a developer workbook, or I can download reports based off of compliance. Now, when I go into the database, which is Software Security Center, I'll have access to a bit more reports. So if we go into the report generation here, you would see those same reports I showed within the IDE. We flag them under the issues. But when we go into the portfolio reports, you can see you can get reports based off of trends. So as you run scan over scan, you can basically get a trend of how you're progressing, or if you set KPIs within the tool set, you can generate reports to get those KPIs within the tool. Or you want to get a high level summary, a high level executive summary. You can get an application summary, and you can add additional parameters that maybe map out to STIG, map out to PCI, or even the OWASP top 10. Now, I previously generated a sample just to show what this can potentially look like within the tool. And I have a quick sample here that is an OWASP top 10. And just to highlight real quick, we do start off with a high-level executive summary, highlighting all the issues as it pertains to the Fortify categories, then giving you a breakdown as it maps to the top 10 requirements. And as you go down, you would see an issue breakdown based off of those requirements in line to the Fortify priority folders from critical going down to low. And right after this would be details. So for every single issue identified, we would provide details, source, and sinks. We do not add snippets of your code bases for privacy reasons. So the reports, again, are more than safe to send out to team members. Thank you so much.